Hello, everyone. Welcome to the fourth day of the International Design Conference. Wherever you may be joining us, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Thank you for attending today's information session on the British Council's Creative Hub Leaders Toolkit. My name is Mark Ocampo, and I'm an arts manager at the British Council based here in Manila. I'll be facilitating today's session with my colleagues, Lindsay and Henry. I'd like to thank everyone for watching our live stream on Echo Hub and Facebook Live. We hope everyone is doing well. Let us know what you're looking forward to about today's session in the comments. This afternoon, we will talk briefly about the British Council's creative economy work globally and here in the Philippines, especially our programs related to creative hubs. Our main goal today will be sharing the British Council's resources that are available for those interested in either starting a creative hub or who are already managing a creative hub. And we'll focus on our newest resource, the Creative Hub Leaders Toolkit, what it is and how hubs can use it. For those unfamiliar with creative hubs, they can be fab labs, co-working spaces, design or architecture firms and collectives, or creative social enterprises. I know there are some design students and educators watching, so you can think of your department or your student org as a creative hub. Of either Echo Hub or Facebook Live. We want today's session to be useful and practical, so we'll do our best to answer your questions as we go over the toolkit. We are also setting aside time at the end to answer any questions you might have about hacking the toolkit or our Creative Hub work in general. Once again, we'd really like to thank our partners, Design Center of the Philippines, for organizing this year's International Design Conference. As you know, the theme this year is Design Futures, Better Normal by Design, championing creativity, innovation, and design in these changing times. And I hope our Creative Hub Leaders Toolkit will help you design for the future. So next slide. To start, we'll just do some housekeeping. Again, feel free to type your questions or comments in the comment section of either.
I think Mark lost his internet connection, but I'll take over for him. Hi, everyone. I'm Henry Palma, also from the British Council in the Philippines Creative Industries Team, Program Officer. Just to repeat what Mark said, feel free to type your comments or questions in the comment section of either at EcoHub or Facebook Live. You can submit questions anytime, and we'll answer questions throughout the session, as well as at the end. Our community managers will curate the questions and send them to us. And for questions we don't get a chance to answer, we'll collect them at the end and respond to you later. So please be sure to sign up for our newsletter and follow us on social media to keep informed. Some other comms engagement reminders. Please follow our social media channels on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's at PHBritish. And of course, don't forget to follow the British Council Creative Economy, which is on Twitter at UK_CE. Second, we'd love to hear your questions, thoughts, and insights about today's session on social media, so don't forget to tag us and use the hashtags IDCPH2020, hashtag #ConnectedByDesign, and hashtag #CreativeHubsForGood. If you haven't yet, please sign up for our arts newsletter at the following link, which is in the chat box of Facebook and EcoHub. All right, to start us off today, I'd like to introduce our Creative Economy Program Manager, Lindsay Smith. Lindsay leads on the British Council's Global Creative Hubs portfolio. Previous to British Council, Lindsay ran two very different creative hubs. She was executive director and founder of Creative Edinburgh, a creative hub for the creative, cultural, and tech sectors. And prior to that, she ran one of Scotland's first creative hubs, which is a creative entrepreneurs club at the Lighthouse in Glasgow. Lindsay's career has been rooted in building networks and finding unique collaboration opportunities. Since having her son, she believes that it only takes a village to raise a child, but it also takes a village to build something amazing. Her professional ethos is to work with good people to do good things. Of course, we're really lucky to to have her join us for today because this is her first speaking engagement since returning from maternity leave. Lizzie Smith, take it away.
Thanks, Henry, and it's really lovely to join you all. Thanks for having me. Yeah, as Henry mentioned, I work in the creative economy team for the British Council based in the UK, and we work across creative hubs, enterprise and policy strands. I lead on the global creative hub portfolio. Mark touched on it a little bit earlier, but our definition of creative hubs is a place that is either physical or virtual that brings enterprise and people together from creative, cultural and tech sectors. We see hubs as playing an invaluable role within the global creative economy. They're not only homes for creatives, but they're also places to connect and collaborate, and also really interesting spaces for cross-sector synergies. However, they're misunderstood and sometimes unsupported and uncredited by many. So we have been working in this space since 2014 to support and advocate the real value of creative hubs in the global economy. I've been wanting to do this toolkit for such a long time. It actually started off as a programme. We developed a programme called Creative Hubs Academy. It was in partnership with HEVOS and Nesta. And it was primarily a programme to help develop the skills of creative hub leaders through a kind of 3-day programme. We also offered retreats and exchange opportunities. And we delivered this across Sub-Saharan Africa, South America and Southeast Asia. And it was a great programme, but it was timely and costly, and we weren't really able to access and support the numbers of creative hubs that we really wanted to. So we thought, why not make it into a toolkit? So this toolkit has got a whole pile of learning from the last few years of developing the programme. It's got all of our learnings, understandings, all of our tools, our exercises, all condensed into one space. It was developed for creative hubs. So whether you're a creative hub that's just started out or haven't even started yet, and you want some kind of support on that journey and developing your specific business plan, you can use it. Or if you're a creative hub that's been running for a while and just want to look to refresh particular elements of your business strategy or plan, then you can use it for that as well. It's entirely free, and you can work in it. There's a few different ways you can use it. You can either work on it from start to finish, going through the exercises one by one, or you can just dip in and use particular exercises you feel are relevant to you at that time. But it's best used with your team. If you do the exercises together with your team, or if you're a hub also with maybe your stakeholders or sponsors or some of your community. It's people-centered, this toolkit, and it's best used when you do it with other people. It's got a kind of user-centered design approach. Once the toolkit has got 3 sections, it's broken into leading your hub, connecting your hub, and building your hub. And that takes you from everything from vision and mission, building your hub culture, mapping your stakeholders, theory of change, measuring impact, and your action plan. The toolkit is meant to be a really kind of creative approach to developing your business plan. Once you do all of the exercises in the toolkit and you put them all together, it's basically the backbone for your business plan. And as we all know, business plans change all the time, or as soon as you've done it, it's already kind of out of date. So this is a really interesting way of keeping your plans updated by kind of using the exercises in a kind of group activity way. And I think it's also the first toolkit of its kind specifically built for creative hubs. I don't know of any others out there. Please tell me if I'm wrong. And we developed it as this horrible pandemic was happening. So we really hope that it's a support arm to creative hubs during a time that's really kind of unsteady, and many support hubs are looking to having to diversify their offer or change or flex or adapt at a really difficult time for funding. Just want to mention that this toolkit was developed in partnership with HEVOS and Nesta, but we also work with an amazing person called Catherine Docherty from Journey Associates, who basically pulled it all together and made it the amazing tool that it is. We're hoping to digitize it as well, so that will maybe down the line. And it's a free toolkit. It's got Creative Commons. It's free to be adapted, to be hacked, to be developed into a program. It's there to be used. We want the materials to be used as widely as possible. So I hope that you all enjoy it. And I'm just sorry that I can't stay for the full hour to see how it all goes and to join in the Q&A at the end. I will pass you over to Henry now, and I hope that was of use, and I hope you enjoy the toolkit. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us, Lindsay. I know it's early in the morning there in Glasgow for you. So yeah, before we start, I just would like to greet some of our viewers on Facebook. Hi, Susan, Franco, and Mike. I hope you learned something from our discussion today or this afternoon. Yeah, to introduce our creative economy work in the Philippines, I would like to show you a video on our Creative Innovators Program, which highlights the fellowship of our supported creative community leaders.
And now they're here, as it is perhaps their turn and their chance to give back a little bit of what they've learned and what they've acquired over time and through the training that they've had as well.
The energy and the commitment and the enthusiasm from the hub leaders over the last few days has been truly inspiring. Their openness and their willingness to share their experiences, and in particular some of the real challenges that they've been facing in running their hubs, has been really quite inspirational and really valuable as a way of learning and sharing their learning with their peers.
And it's really this belief that there's that innate creativity in the Filipinos. We have a general ability to empathize.
So many creative Filipinos, but very little opportunities, and that's why we would like to bring it back over here.
The creative economy is a sector which is of fantastic importance to any country. I'm very pleased to say it's an area where the United Kingdom is a world leader.
And in the end, the work we do within our walls ripples far beyond what houses us.
Yeah. In the Philippines, we have worked with 15 creative hubs, such as Pineapple Lab, Common Room, Anvil in Cebu, and Craft Ventures in Naga. And this is through the Creative Innovators Program, or CIP. This program actually aims to contribute to a more sustainable and impact-led creative hubs that can better support the Philippines' creative industries for more inclusive cities and communities. This project was actually initiated by the British Council in partnership with DTI and through the Design Center of the Philippines with Philippine Trade Training Center, Apple Dia Foundation, and Thames International. We're excited to show some of the highlights of the fellowship activities from 2018 to 2020, which of course included professional development, management trainings, collaboration grants, mentoring scheme, and networking opportunities in the Philippines, ASEAN, and the UK. Now for the study tour. To establish stronger links between organizations in the UK and the Philippines, our fellows spent a week in the UK, that was in 2018 actually, to meet hubs in London and Manchester through the Creative Hubs Connect case study tour. So this tour aimed to assess the needs and concerns of hub managers, give them wider and fresh perspective in managing hubs, and of course meet potential collaborators as they build their own networks. It was really an interactive learning experience as they met hubs such as MadLab, which is a digital innovation in science, technology, arts, and culture. Feature Everything, an innovation lab and cultural agency, and Grow Hackney. It is a self-organized ecosystem of studios and creative space. Now we also have a building professional network. Over the past years, the Department of Trade and Industry and the British Council have been working together to spur growth in the Philippines creative economy. We organize key events which serve as avenues for advocacy. There's also learning, discourse for creatives, private industry leaders, and government leaders. One networking event that we organized with Arete and DTI DCP in 2019 was the Creative Communities Unite versus Unite. It was a 3-day networking and skills building platform which was attended by around 200 Creative Hub managers, community leaders, and creative practitioners, not only in Metro Manila, but we also had attendees from Baguio, from Davao, and Cebu. It featured the speakers from creative hubs that we have visited in the UK and Southeast Asia. There was Rachel Turner of MadLab, when she talked about how her organization started and what were their motivations and learnings. We also had Isu Wei of APW Bangsar, located in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, who shared his experience in transforming a former printing factory, which he converted into a creative hub. Very interesting. We feel free to access exclusive resources from this conference, such as session background and presentations of the speakers in our website. I think our colleagues from the DTI DCP will share the links in our comment section, both on EcoHub and Facebook. Next is grants. Based on a global research by the British Council, we found out that creative hubs are often under-supported. CIP actually offered collaboration and sharing grants to help creative hubs and our fellows establish a sustainable hub and implement activities now that they have developed knowledge, skills, and network through the program. The Creative Hubs Collaboration Grant, it actually supported projects undertaken by creative hubs based in the Philippines, and that creative hub must partner with a hub based in the UK. There was this one hub or one of the grant recipients, which was Marikina-based shoemaking hub Zapateria. As a result of the UK study tour, Unique Santa Ana, Zapateria co-founder, met I Can Make Shoes, and she collaborated with this hub, which is based in London, as they saw opportunities in the industry to empower women through shoemaking. Through this grant, both of the hubs developed a creative kit for complete beginners. It contains materials, tools, and guidelines to start making sandals as a home-based business, and held a workshop in 2019. Meanwhile, we have another grant, which is a sharing grant. It supports activities delivered by our fellows as well as their creative hubs with the intention of cascading the skills and knowledge as well as the learnings with their community. So the keyword here is sharing what you have learned from the program. So we had Don Senna. He is one of our CIP fellows. He's also an award-winning filmmaker. And together with his hub, Film Producer Society, they used the sharing grant to deliver the Cinema Reunion workshop This Cinema Rion is a non-competition film festival that features hundreds of short films and feature-length films from the regions. So Don and his hub shared insights on film marketing. There was also this distribution and imparted what they have learned from the program through a workshop attended by around 30 participants. Now let's move on with mentoring. Of course, peer-to-peer learning is one of the ways on how we can gain knowledge and hone one's expertise in a chosen field. Each CIP fellow was actually paired with an industry expert, not just from the Philippines, but also from Southeast Asia and the UK. So they serve as an advisor and a potential collaborator in the future. So since the fellows and mentors are based in different geographical locations around the world, sessions were conducted online even before the pandemic started. Now, the mentoring aims to enable our fellows to gain new knowledge and perspectives from an expert in the field and build new professional networks. It hopes to, in turn, they will help them run and maintain their hubs in an efficient and sustainable way. So just to give you some of the global mentors who join us in this scheme are John Hawkins, Global Strategies and Advisor on Creative Hub Economies. We also have Journey Associate Director Catherine Doherty. She and her team are actually behind the development of the Creative Hub Leaders Toolkit that we are actually discussing later today. We also had Tempati co-founder Jiaping Lee and Agile City Partners co-founder Julian Abiha, who both share their insights on creative cities and placemaking session, or share their insights on creative cities and placemaking during the session last Wednesday. And lastly is a founder of Creative Economy Council of the Philippines, Paulo Mercado. Now from mentoring, let's move on with research. Research is an important part of our cultural relations work in the British Council. Evidence from research helped us make key decisions in planning, such as in result areas to prioritize, opportunities for exchange, and how we can best contribute. So later, we will discuss these researches at the end of the session, so please stay tuned. And lastly, we'd like to share with you our latest work, which explored opportunities and challenges of creative hubs brought about by the global pandemic. Next slide. Over the last 3 months, 500 hubs from 34 countries participated in our Communities of the New Future. It explored short, medium, and long-term transformative solutions for creative hubs around the world. So it featured speakers from Indonesia, the Philippines, Malaysia, and the UK, such as Creative Cardiff, Sarah Pepper. We also had Penance Art District, Stephanie Key. So all the speakers share their insights on how different parts of the world are responding to COVID-19. So we've put together resources from the forum, which compiled insights, surveys, and other practical information on sustainability of hubs. So you may, again, access these resources through the link in the chat box. And lastly, if you'd like to know more about our program, and if you wish to explore resources on creative economy, feel free to visit our website. So it's www.britishcouncil.ph is also in the chat box. Now, moving on to the main purpose of why we are gathered here today. Let me give you first a brief background of the Creative Hub Leaders Toolkit, which is the main content. This toolkit provides a holistic approach for taking your hub forward, while the specific tools are diverse in their purpose and they are interconnected. And as a collection, it will help you chart your path from defining the need you're meeting through to the impact that you create. It may be for the purpose of enriching your own learning journey or clarifying your thinking as a hub leader, or you may also engaging with your team to get different perspectives and align ideas. So the toolkit are organized in 3 sections. First is leading your hub. It actually circles around the question why. So it helps you articulate a clear vision of your hub that reflects the values and inspires and motivates not only you as a leader, but also your team. This will enable you to shape the culture of your organization and deliver on the purpose. Next is connecting your hub, which is, of course, about assessment of your stakeholders. By understanding the people in your sector, you can identify and prioritize those who influence your success, ensure your programs meet the needs of your community, and your communications are focused and aligned with your goals. And lastly is building your hub, which is centers around sustainability of your organization or your hub. Now that you know your vision and you are aware of your stakeholders, You need to do the legwork to implement your mission. Success lies on proper planning and delivering impact of your hub. Planning for action and measuring success will evidence the benefits that your hub brings. So just to give you an idea, this is how the toolkit looks like. It has 15 tools, as you can see on your screen. And then for each tool, there are these sheets for you to work on. So here are some sample sheets. So this one, foundations of a hub leader tool. We also have mapping your stakeholders. And lastly, theory of change. Now, my colleague Mark will take us through the first and third tool sections, while I will present the second tool. But before that, Mark will share first with you why you should use this toolkit and how it will help you in your organization. Mark?
Hi, everyone. So I'm back. Hopefully the connection stays okay. So the Creative Hub Leaders Toolkit, who is it for? It's primarily for hub leaders. It's for hub leaders to help enrich your learning journey, engage with your team for new ideas, and build your network and your community. Next slide, please. But while the tools were specifically made for hubs and communities, it is also for you, whether you're a design educator, a design student, thinking of starting your own design collective, animation studio, or creative social enterprise. You can use the toolkit for your own professional development, use it to help your team or hub develop new skills, and you can use it for and with your community. And again, when we say hubs, this includes everything from shared creative spaces, co-working spaces, fab labs, art or design collectives, or even individual creatives and makers who are freelancers or leading a design studio or an architecture firm. And as Lindsay said, it doesn't have to be a physical space. It could be like a virtual space. It's the great thing about Creative Hubs and the toolkit is it's really very customizable and meant for a lot of uses. Next slide, please. So how to use it? Well, the tools are a self-led guide, and really the best way to actually work with the toolkit is to actually use the tools themselves. And as you use the tools, you can review your learning and apply the outputs. It's almost packaged like a self-driven learning course. It's organized as a learning journey, but there's no right or wrong way to use it. You don't have to use it in that specific order. You can take it in parts, and you can use it in sort of like an order that makes sense to your hub. Some hubs are going to be sort of have been around for a while. Some hubs are just starting. So it really is meant to be very customizable to where your hub is. Use them for whatever makes sense for your purpose. Next slide, please. And we want to encourage you to hack the toolkit. So what do we mean about hacking the toolkit? Well, we have the design templates available. You can email us for the full design templates. And you can use, let's say you can gather your community together to interpret and repackage the toolkit into a resource that's relevant for you or your community. You can even turn into like your own version of a toolkit. It could be like part of a capacity building program for your hub or your school. Using the answers and information you develop with the toolkit by using the tools, you're gonna have a lot of content, and you can use this content to even make instructional videos or create an online digital campaign. Next slide. So what would a hack toolkit look like, and what could it be repackaged into? So it could be a design educator's toolkit or a craft leader's toolkit. You can use it to put together a class or a course on design or crafts. It could be a makerspace marketing tool. You can use it to create digital media campaigns for your hub. It could be a toolkit for an art or design collective impact. It'll help you make a narrative to share your hub's impact. And it could be a co-working space community toolkit. You could use it to map your stakeholders or expand your network. We really encourage you to hack it for you and your hub. And because this is so new, not many hubs have been able to use it. So we're really looking forward to seeing how you use it. Next slide. You you can use the toolkit as part of your own workshops, or you can even develop new ones. You can develop workshops for your own team or something that you even offer to other creatives. Next slide. So now that you know a little bit more about the toolkit, we'd actually really love to hear from you right now how you think you can use it, plus any questions that you have so far. So let us know in the comments. We're seeing a few comments come in live. Somebody just asked James just asked, how do you avail of the toolkit? Yes, we will post it towards the end, and it's free to download. Next slide. So there are a couple of things that you do need to know if you plan to hack the toolkit. If you're going to repackage it into a different kind of toolkit, you cannot call it the Creative Hub Leaders Toolkit. You'll have to call it something else. You'll also have to add sort of a credit line to Nesta. They're the partner that we developed the toolkit with. The exact wording for the credit, we're still ironing out with Nesta. So just let us know if you are going to repackage it, and we'll let you know all the sort of branding and identity information that you need to add. Next slide. And so one thing that should also be important to note is that it's licensed under a Creative Commons license, which means you can copy and redistribute the material in any medium or format. You can remix it, transform it, and you can build upon the material. Next slide. To find out more about the specific license, you can follow the link. Hopefully one of the community managers posts it on Facebook and Echo Hub. If not, we'll also provide it. It's also inside the toolkit itself, the link to the Creative Commons license. So next slide. So now we'll go over the different tools. But again, if you have questions, let us know. I can see a lot of comments coming in. So we'll be sure to start addressing some of your questions. We'll be doing an overview of the tools and what they're for. Some of you will recognize these tools. A lot of them aren't really new or unique. But the really great thing about this toolkit, and Lindsay mentioned this, is it's been collected and put together in one place for you. Next slide. So the first section and set of tools is all about leading your hub. It will help you think and communicate the purpose and goals of your hub. Early on, when we first got to know a lot of the hubs in our program, a lot of the hubs that Henry mentioned, we found that they needed extra help to really find their purpose and goals, and more importantly, how to communicate that to both their community members and with the public. Next slide. So one of the first tools will be helping you identify your vision and mission. It'll help you identify and focus your mission using some guided questions. Next slide. The next tool will then help you identify the needs of your local community. So this could be, maybe supporting the economic prosperity of your community. It could be about empowering the community, or revitalizing the area, or advocating for a particular cause. The tool will help you map out your community's needs and how your hub can fulfill those needs. Next slide. The next tool is about building your hub culture. So the success of a hub is really closely connected to the experience of the people who are part of the hub, who interact with the hub. Staff, users, partners, other people in the community. And as a hub, we'll create the best possible culture and working environment. So the tool will ask you to is with your team and community. Next slide. Can we go on to the next slide? Okay. Foundations of a hub leader, yes. So there's no one kind of hub leader, but looking inward and knowing your personal values, the skills you have and those that you want to develop is really important to achieving your goals as a hub leader. So this tool will help you look at the challenges that you might face as a hub leader and identify what kind of support that you would need. And next slide. And lastly is a self-reflection framework. This tool will help you think more about yourself as a leader and how you work and interact. It structures how you think about your leadership skills and style, how your motivations and experience influence your behavior, and what you need for self-care and support. So next, Henry will go on to the next segment and set of tools.
Thanks, Mark. I'm really happy that you already have a good internet connection. Anyway, of course, after knowing your purpose, it's important that you nurture and maintain your connections, which forms part of every successful Creative Hub organization. Finding effective messages and accessible platforms to engage and communicate with the full range of stakeholders put you in a strong position to achieve your aim, of course. We have the sixth tool, which is mapping your stakeholders. By building your connections and trust with different types of stakeholders, you can inspire new ideas, create opportunities for your network, and achieve success. So this tool basically guides you to think about the different stakeholders who are affected by your hub and who are those people who can influence its success. You can classify them according to the following. It can be direct, indirect, and potential stakeholders. Seventh tool is persona development. Persona helps you to map out the key characteristics of a particular group of stakeholders. So it can be your users or audience, your teammates, your partners. It can also be your funders. Giving each group a personality, values, and other characteristics reduces anonymity and lets you connect with them from a more personal and emotional perspective, because it is important to think about who will interact with each element and how that experience will meet their needs when you build your own hub. 8 is elements for a persuasive story. Now, stories build awareness of your hub. It promotes your purpose. It also gives value. And then engaging emotionally with your audience and attract the right team. So this tool basically supports you to identify and elaborate on the key elements that are needed to create, of course, a compelling story. And to tell a story, you must know what messages or words you will use to connect with them on an emotional level. So the keyword here is empathy. 9th is activities to offer. So by developing an in-depth understanding of your activities, you can more easily evaluate the impact and prioritize resources to deliver those with the greatest benefit to your hub and its users. Effectively creating the activities your hub provides can ensure you to have a distinctive, compelling, and sustainable offer. So make sure that you have your calendar of activities. It can be for an entire year, or it can be per quarter, and then make sure that you strategize which activities are aligned with the national or local celebrations or country, something like that. And then 10th is a user research plan. So this tool helps you to plan how you will connect with your users and better understand their needs. This will also ensure the activities you offer are appealing and successful. Understanding the needs of your audience as well as their motivations will save you time and effort when creating the activities for your hub. Now, for the next 5 or last 5 tools, we'll bring back again Mark to discuss building your hub tool section.
Okay, so can you hear me?
Okay, so I think Mark is again having problems with his internet connection. So the last part of the toolkit is the building your hub tool section. It actually presents about building your hub. Hubs exist to serve their communities, which means as a hub leader, you have to plan the kind of support the hub will provide and make it clear to your community what benefits this brings and prioritize resources to regenerate a positive impact. The 11th tool is theory of change. So here, it will help you better understand the change that you want to see. It can be short term, long term, or medium term. You'll map your path in creating change, and then from the challenge you want to tackle to impact and change your hub will make. So this tool will ask you to identify all aspects of a problem, who is affected, and what activities you can provide to address this issue. So actually, this theory of change we've been using this in our organization. It really helped us in terms of delivering and planning our own programs across the globe. 12th tool is measuring impact. You'll need to be able to create a compelling story to share Hub's impact, but to do what you need to know what kind of data you gather. In our work with Creative Hubs, we found this was a very real gap in their work and that they had not thought about or even had time to plan their monitoring and evaluation. So knowing if their services or activities were doing what they had intended. 13th tool is called the Business or Hub Business Canvas. This tool will help you break down your hub offer and develop a clear plan to launch and sustain or grow your hub. So Hub Business Canvas will help you think about what your hub's offers can be for revenue. Are you charging membership for your regular classes? Are you providing design or print services? Are you producing an actual product? So whether Hub is a charity, a social venture, a cooperative, or a for-profit organization, you will want to select the business model that best fits with your resources and your vision, of course. Our second to the last tool is Orbit Chart. So here's a sample of the sheet that you will work on if you take on this tool. The Orbit Chart is a strategic planning tool to guide decision-making around the priority areas of your hub. You can use to plan for 12 months or 3 years and whatever makes sense for your hub. The tool will ask you what are the main things that ensure hub is able to deliver your vision. There are questions like, does your team have the skills that they need to perform your activities? And if not, how can they gain skills? And you'll also be able to think about your finances. Where will the money be coming from? What's your overhead? So things like that. And then the last tool is a Hub Action Plan. The Hub Action Plan tools help you clearly state what needs to be done to move the plan for your hub forward. So knowing what you're responsible for and what you can delegate to others is vital so you don't feel also interconnected. I don't feel overwhelmed, sorry. And the great thing about the toolkit is that the tools are also interconnected. So as you go through the toolkit, you'll start to find what you have all your information and answers in a structured way to help you make informed plans and decisions. And then I think that's it for the Creative Hub Leaders Toolkit in a nutshell. As you can see, it's a really straightforward toolkit, and it's really important, or it's really meant to help you think holistically about your hub. So the specific tools have very different purposes, but they work together. And as a toolkit, it will help you map what you need, what your hub needs, and what your hub can do to design a sustainable future that meet your goals and change and impact that you wanted to make. So we'll provide the link to download this toolkit in the chat box, again in the comment section. So I'd like to call my colleague again, Mark, for this part of our session, which is a Q&A. And now we can answer some more audience questions. So if you haven't yet, please type your questions in the comment section of either EcoHub or Facebook Live. So Mark, hello. Hello, Mark, can you hear me? Okay, while waiting for Mark, let's read one of the questions raised by Patricia Calguilera Mendoza. Actually, Pat is one of our CIP fellows from Matic Hub Institute. So hi, Pat, thanks for your question. The question is, does the toolkit include the business sustainability side of starting a creative hub? For example, in a context of creative hub leaders who have no business background. So it's very perfect because we have Catherine who have answered the question. So here's the answer to your question. Pat, two tools connect to the business model and prompt for revenue and cost information. So activities to offer and Hub Business Canvas are the ones that will help you on that specific aspect of your question, which is business sustainability. So I hope that answers your question. Okay, so is Mark back? I don't think he's back. We're still accepting more questions. So there's this question, hi, from James de la Cruz. Hi, how do I avail the toolkit? Will it be posted here or will you send it to us? So I think my colleagues have already posted here on the comment section of the chat box. So thanks for asking. And then I think there was this question from Kenneth Baltazar. He was referring to the fellowship, how to join. So the fellowship already ended. We are currently on our monitoring and evaluation phase. So we have yet to know by the end of the year if there's a need to strategize or redirect our efforts in terms of what we wanted to contribute in our creative economy work here in the Philippines. So I hope I answered the question. And then, hi, from Mike Gomez Buckgut. Hi, would it be possible to request a presentation? Thank you. I think yes, because this the video or the conference is being live streamed, and you'll be able to access 24/7 to the videos, and we'll make sure that you'll also have access to the presentation that we've been presenting today.
Henry, can you hear me?
Yes, Mark, I can hear you.
Did you answer Patricia's question?
Yeah, I answered Patricia's question, and Catherine, all the way from Scotland, replied and helped us with the question.
Oh, Catherine, I'm glad you could join us. For when you were answering Patricia's question, sorry, maybe you did answer it, but so tools 13 and 14 are sort of really cover the business aspect. So if you're looking for that specific tools, it's tools 13 and 14 in the toolkit.
I think, yeah, we're still waiting for more questions. There's this question mark. Do you also have tools, programs in the future that focus on equipping leaders with skills to effectively work with data, and capture the impact of data industry?
We don't really have tools that cover like how to effectively work with data and capture the impact of the creative industry. That's actually something that I think a lot of people have been asking for. I know Kenneth from the Design Center is their data whiz, and this is something that he is really interested in and invested in. So hopefully the Design Center can come up with some kind of tool for working with data.
Okay. And I think there's another response from Catherine. She said that it would be great to get feedback on any help leaders using the tools as well as how they hack the toolkit. And then there's this another question from James de la Cruz. After using the toolkit, shall we send it to you for assessment? What will be your next steps? So yeah.
No, there's no need to send it to us for assessment. The toolkit is really meant for you to be part of your learning kind of journey. But what we would really love to hear is how you hack the toolkit and in different ways that you want to use it. We would really, really love to hear about that, of how you use the toolkit. But you don't have to send us your answers as an assessment.
Okay. Maybe Mark, you can explain further about the use of the toolkit in terms of restriction in commercialization, if they would like to charge fees and using this for a specific workshop and the likes. Hello, Mark. Okay, so I'll just repeat the question. So maybe some people are interested if they can charge fees whenever they conduct workshops as they use the toolkit for their teams or for their organization. And based on our coordination with the team who developed the toolkit, it is encouraged that you don't charge any fees because there's this Creative Commons license that we have to follow or be abided by. So I think it is important that we need to take a look at this and of course consult the British Council or even NESTA if before you do anything with regard to the toolkit. Okay, so are there any other questions? Okay, thanks, James. Thanks for answering the questions, guys. Annalisa said, do you have a record on the successful users of the toolkit? As of now, we know, or for your information, we just launched Toolkit publicly, not just in the Philippines, but also worldwide. So we'll let you know if there are success stories in terms of using the Toolkit. Just like what Catherine said, we would be delighted to get feedback from any hub leaders when they're done hacking the toolkit. So I think that's something that we are looking forward to in the near future. Okay, so there's another question. How do we engage more young people to involve themselves in creative hubs? Or are there programs that work with younger people? Hi, I'm Don. Thanks for your question. Right now, we are delivering our programs online. So I think it's easier for people, especially the younger generation, to access these information from creative hubs. It's just a matter of for these creative hubs to send or communicate their messages to the targeted audiences. And having said that, are there programs that work with younger people? Of course, definitely. There are a lot of programs for younger people. Like there's this with Pineapple Lab, so they've been supporting the LGBT community, and it goes across the different audiences. It can be the young ones, it can be the older generation. So yeah, it just really depends with the advocacy or with the objective of that specific creative hub. And yeah, you can take a look at our website. We have our 15 creative hub leaders, and you can take a look at their respective organizations, and maybe you can be inspired with their work and hopefully in the future contribute to their advocacy. Okay, so I'm just reading the comment section. I just would like to re-echo what Catherine said. The tools can be really helpful for ensuring that you and your team are on the same page. So if you're starting out and don't have a team, ask trusted friends and colleagues to work with you. So that way you can use their input to challenge your thinking and build on ideas. Yeah. So I think we're good with the questions. So there are no any other questions in the comment section, both in Equal Hub and Facebook. Let's proceed with the closing part. Let's hold on. Okay, so before we move on, or before we close the session, we're happy to share with you some of the learning resources and useful toolkits for creative hubs. So a lot of you have been asking if there are any other resources for your own respective organization. So here are the toolkits and research reports that we have released in the past months. First is the Creative Hub Kit. This kit is a free toolkit for people looking to set up a hub. It is made up of the best practice examples, helpful experiences, and tried and tested approaches from some of the most successful hubs in the UK and Europe. And then, yeah, I think my colleague have posted a link to the toolkit in the comment section. We also have the Creative Enterprise Toolkit. If you are starting or running a creative business, we have Nesta's Creative Enterprise Toolkit, a resource to help you plan, build, test, communicate, and launch your new creative business. So actually, this toolkit is really good because it's available in 8 languages. And then let's proceed with the reports. So recently, we commissioned Drew Wiley Consultancy and Curious to conduct a study to understand the profile, dynamics, and effect of creative hubs in the country and find out how creative hubs make an impact at the individual, community, and national levels in the Philippines. So the research is entitled Happiness, Social Impact of Hubs in the Philippines. Just to give you a view, we found out that Creative Hubs model has proven effective as a research and development vehicle that links the motivation and innovation of MSMEs, which is micro, small, and medium enterprises with wider teams. The report also offers insights on how initiatives from the UK, Europe, and North America strengthen their creative communities and wider societies by working with policymakers, academics, and hubs. Next research is a tally of 2 cities mapping the creative industries of Makati and Baguio. So this was actually connected to the session last Wednesday on creative cities and placemaking. It is a research project managed by the Creative Economy Council of the Philippines, led by Sir Paulo Mercado through a grant from the British Council. This research aims to provide a deeper understanding of the creative economy of the cities of Makati and Baguio based on the analysis of public records and sampling base. And it also aims to provide guidance for data collection, survey, methodology, and analysis that can be later scaled on a national level. So just again to give you a quick background about the findings of the research, on a city level, the lack of creative economy prioritization is very evident. In the 2 cities that are presented or represented in this pilot study, for example, the value of creativity can be undermined by city policies and ordinances that directly affect the creative sector. And then lastly, coming soon is our Creative Enterprise and Inclusive Growth in the Philippines report. This aims to understand the profile, dynamics, and impact of creative enterprises in the Philippines. This is based on the premise of lack of evidence that highlights how socially driven or aware creative enterprises are in the Philippines. So this will be released within the 4th quarter of this year. And so those are available toolkits and learning resources. Before we end today's session, we'd like to ask you to fill out our feedback form. Let us know what you thought of today's information session and the toolkit. So again, we'd like to apologize for the internet connection of Mark. Of course, we're sharing the post-event feedback form link in the chat box. It will only take 5 to 10 minutes of your time. So please accomplish your survey form. And again, please follow us on social media and sign up for a monthly arts newsletter where we regularly share opportunities and resources for creative hubs. And that's it. Thank you everyone for spending your afternoon with us. If you have any more questions or want to know more about the toolkit or our Creative Innovators program, please email us anytime. So we are flashing our email addresses if you'd like to collaborate or if you'd like to connect with us on the screen. And then we'd like to thank again Lindsay from the British Council's Creative Economy team for joining us. My colleague Mark, DTI DCP, and their digital events team. Of course, all of you once again for sharing ideas, questions, and positive energy today. Have a good afternoon and happy weekend.